like, just pick heroes that are hard to kill on T1 now, and you literally can't kill them. It's like,
who are those heroes? Like, give us some examples for T1.
Kunkka maybe, if they want to Kunkka mid.
That
was the hero when you mentioned the LGD game. There was a Kunkka that this Medusa like couldn't kill.
Yeah, they had so many tanky heroes in that on LGD's draft in that game. Any like Tiny, for example, this hero has a huge health pool. They find hard to shred through. Pango seems great. They have like he's been one of the heroes that was always favored against Mars because your arena and it doesn't matter, you just roll through it, disrupt the fight. He's also a hero that's like they're trying to 4p1 right now on Medusa, and Pango can
10 seconds remaining.
kind of just
Lucky
crush.
shot.
Yeah, you can disable for so long. Right? If you buy Yules and Blink on Pango, you can stun Medusa for like 8+ seconds. And if you're taking away their only carry from a fight, like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're gonna need their spots to grab some Lotuses and stuff this fight. This game, it feels like.
Yeah, they'll need a 4-star as well to kind of get her out of the combo from Pango. I mean, it's nice to 4p1 onto a Medusa. It's just scary because. Yeah, it's nice that they banned Doom because obviously I always found that Doom and Enigma are like the best heroes that just crush a 4p1 strat. But Enigma's kind of out of flavor right now. Ooh, what would I like to see?
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, what are they missing? What are we lacking here for both lineups? Is it this tower push? You know, someone who's going to be the front line.
NGX need damage. I don't think it needs to be saying it hits towers. They're happy to sit back, defend their towers without taking objectives because they've got Medusa. That should just give them the better late game. They got the opportunity to basically ban every single carry that, you know, is kind of left. Obviously, there's plenty. Carry pool is very big, but they ban the ones that are either bad matchups for Medusa or maybe just bad matchups for their gameplay or Gabby specials like the PA is kind of his, you know, signature hero.
Yeah.
I want to see damage, but at the same time, I will lose my mind if they just pick Alacrity Invoker.
Another buff, let's go.
Oh my god, they're buffing her so hard.
All in on that Medusa.
Yeah, and there's what, Ember and Void Spirit.
Yeah, Void Spirit was the hero I was thinking of. At least it's like something that can play make.
Maybe Leshrac is something he's very comfortable on, and NGX is a team of comfortable on. That's kind of like the more let's play aggressive to create space for Medusa because you've got this like Mars, Leshrac, and supports who can run around, push towers, fight, while Medusa farms. They sometimes take that approach, but there's also the let's just pick something tanky that sits back as well.
Queen would be not bad. She's still in the pool.
Oh yeah. Maybe the DK is a bit of a deterrent, but
yeah, but what can you do? I mean, they have save in Shadow Demon. So if someone gets stunned by DK, then yeah, it's not that bad.
Ember, when in doubt, go through the spirits and say, ask your mid player which spirit do you want most here.
First, we didn't do that. We should just look through the spirits and be like, yes, that is the one that is still there that he likes.
We came up with Void Spirit, but yeah, he's more of an Ember than a Void Spirit play, even though I kind of also felt like Void Spirit maybe fit a bit better here.
I'm like, I don't know, I just feel weird about their lineup. But
you can't put a finger on it?
No, I can't. I mean, I just don't like how reliant they are on Medusa. And it's like this first game they did this Alacrity Ember. And like, I'm not saying he's bad or anything. But like, I thought second game where they had this draft where they picked such a nice carry for In Your Dream at the very end. I was like let's go. You know, that's what I said I wanted at the beginning, at the end of game one. I was like, just last pick him an actual hero that he really likes and he's good at. I mean, he liked Lifestealer. And it went bad, but he's good and likes Drought, and it went great, and I like that. And now they're switching it up and putting him on Medusa, which is just, yeah, you know, it's just, the hero seems, it hits a lot, but it can miss, like last game. You know, I just watched Medusa lose.
Yeah.
I don't want the team that won that game to pick Medusa. Like, what?
I also did just bring up the fact that Medusa isn't losing a lot in C, and then we immediately go on to see her lose.
Classicas.
And then get picked up by Nigma. So this is going to be a really interesting one to watch when it's a lot of eggs in one basket.
Yeah. There is potential here for T1, I think, to flex and pick up something crazy
Hell
like a Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Ooh.
I'm not even joking. I was thinking about Ricky, but I didn't say it out loud, therefore I can't prove it.
You didn't want to sound like a crazy person.
I was just like, oh man, Ricky, because they have their whole like plan is you have supports that buff up your carry, right? Ricky literally just brutalizes them, and there's nothing they can do about it. They can't protect their Medusa when Ricky is just on them. Like, they're so squishy. They're so easy to kill. And now you have another spirit that's also very susceptible to smoke cloud. Like, and you have a Pango rolling through fights, disrupting everything. And like, how are you gonna protect everyone?
You are making a very strong case for Ricky. So I want to bring in Mike and John here and ask them, do you guys feel bad for not believing in Sheep's speech about Dro Ranger? Now do you believe her about Ricky?
Yes, stupid.
Ricky.
Tell us how garbage Ricky is.
We like Ricky. I think Mike's on a Ricky train a lot more than I am, but Ricky looks really good in this lineup. I think for T1, it's not just that. They have more active supports. They've got more ways to take team fights beyond, just Undying Phoenix, which was good in team fights, but had no real control. So I'm liking the Ricky. It's a nice big circle as well, Mike. You know me. I like my circles.
It's circles. That's all that matters.
That's right. And allow me to apologize for johnxfire's earlier comments about that damn Drow Ranger. I don't know what he was thinking, saying it was a trash tier pick. And I do agree. I think the Ricky and the Pango is very nice. Like, you've got double diffusal blade against Medusa, right? It's going to be a hell of a fun game for T1. They've got this in the bag, 100%.
It definitely is going to be a fun one. And we're going to get out of here so you guys can jump into this game number 3 between Nigma and T1.
Bye-bye, Sheep. She was waving at us. Bye, Sheep. It's MLP Dota and johnxfire. John, welcome back. So sorry I had to put you under the bus like that. I'm way too embarrassed to admit it was me that actually said it. I'm hoping nobody else remembers. How are you doing, though, sir? Game number 3.
Love to see it. I like seeing that NGX is bouncing back really well with Paulson back in. I don't think Adam was a big issue in game 1, honestly. Felt like a draft issue. T1, though, looks like they come out with a really good draft. And look at the smoke. They're looking to just be aggressive. We've got that nice fly-by cam, but should be some action breaking out here, Mike.
Could be T1. I'm going to move in. You were correct, by the way, John. I'm a big fan of this Ricky hero. You know me, I'm a dirty man when it comes to playing heroes. I've got to go for the cheapest option possible, and Ricky's in meta. I'm a very happy man as they've got the damn double stickers. Look at that, Jonathan. We're in the triple stickers. It's Inception now. We're in Inception.
Yep. Just marking it everywhere. Miracle and miracle. I wish we got to see that matchup. Didn't quite, but we'll see it someday, Mike. We'll see it someday.
I hope so, John. I hope so. Maybe at TI. You never know. That's if, the other Nigma can make it. That is, T1. Paulson, in your dream, gonna move in. Cuckoo is there. They'll fight over the banner rune. Paulson, not gonna be able to pick it up. Cuckoo, he does take the bounty, and now a full-blown team fight about to get underway, but it doesn't seem like Cuckoo is interested in going too much further. So T1, I believe they got a 3-for-1, no, a 4-for-0 trade on those bounty runes. So just maximum value here for T1 to get themselves started.
Yeah, really strong start for T1. That's going to set up for the mid very well. But before that, we'll take a look at the sidelines. Of course, you've got Cuckoo on the Pango and Zephyr on that Gyrocopter. They are laning up against Gabby and up In Your Dream and Paulson in this lane. And the panel went over this a little bit, but, the Ogre Magi just kind of stands in between. Just gives space out for In Your Dream. This is a really aggressive lane for T1, though. You've got two really good heroes that has a lot of damage in lane. Gyrocopter with a magic buildup is just pretty ridiculous, and of course Cuckoo can just always play with a shield crash. So there's not as much In Your Dream can do. He can play with a Mystic Snake, try to harass out, but first few levels feel a lot better for T1, although Paulson's doing a good job just running down.
Yeah, he is. Cuckoo's really confident here and should be able to heal up with that salve here from Zephyr, but very, very aggressive from NGX.SEA already down to the spot lane. Of course, over in the top lane, though. Let's have a look around. Mizu and Joe Cam, of course, against Gabby and Whitemon. Generally speaking, John, this Ricky hero is quite weak in the laning stage, I'd say, and against the Mars Shadow Demon, it could be a bit of a risky scenario here for Gabby.
Yeah, there's a lot of setup from NGX. They could always play with Disruption Spear. Whitemon doesn't really have the best saves, although they could be aggressive with the Inkswell Blink in, but you don't tend to see that too much in the laning, especially against something tanky like that Mars. So I expect this to be a bit slower for T1. They're just going to have to play it safe, get what farm they can, and just not risk dying, because the aggression from NGX in this lane is really high. So just take it slow, give as much as you can towards Gabby, have him work towards his power treads into those diffusals, which is a lot faster now, and just get running from there. So not going to expect too much action. Mizu should have a pretty good time here, and we are seeing that shape up, having a pretty good start. They also managed to get some good pulls with Joe Cam that Whitemon can't really stop too well. So already getting some good value early on here.
And that last
Radiant's
lane we
top
haven't really
tower
talked about
is
yet,
under
John.
attack.
It's the boring lane. You've got Dragon Knight versus Ember Spirit, and you know we've got to go over it, John. Does one side or the other have the advantage, and are we ever going to see a kill in this mid lane?
Unless someone really missteps or a support rotation comes in, you're likely not going to see any kills here, Mike. We've seen this before. Just very passive, very farmy. I think the panel pointed out that issue with mid DK. It's not a Templar setting mid. You just sit and farm. So Alacrity should have a good time building up, but so will Carl. And the key thing is just when that blink comes out, when that level 6 comes out, where does T1 commit? You want to see the tower melt with that dragon form, or you want to get a good rotation in once the blink is up. Either or, you need to make something happen, whether it's item spikes and level spikes. Beyond that, the lane's just very static, Mike.
Yeah, certainly so. I feel like Carl might have a bit of an advantage, though, considering he is playing Dragon Knight, but like you mentioned, not much to happen in that mid lane. And top lane, not much else happening either. I mean, you've got the disruption to the spear setup, but it's not that easy to land on the Riki. Maybe you could go after Whitemon if you do get within range, but he's been playing pretty far back, just behind his carry constantly. You know, even the bot lane, quite passive right now. It seems like In Your Dream and Gabby both having a great time in those opposing side lanes, and well, in terms of pressure, there's really none so far.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit longer for either side to get some aggression going. Feels like you're going to need a lot of levels on the supports in both cases to really get that up and running, especially for NGX, it feels like. You want to play off of your Mars and have some good control coming through from your Shadow Demon, follow through. Maybe even just getting some good lucky multicast stuns is also going to help set up. So just going to have to wait and see once that builds up. Side lanes are just, you know, farming lanes. Again, there is some potential for T1, especially on the off lane, to try and play around with a Homing a Small and Rocket Barrage, but Ogre Magi is hard to burst down, just naturally tanky, and Dedusa stays far back enough with the threat of Mystic Snake to do some good damage to the creep wave that not really the best target to go for as well. So, gonna have to wait and see for that aggression here, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess at least top lane, you do have the blink in with the Ink Swell that can be quite detrimental, but again, you're not really going to be aiming down Mizu here. Be a little bit too tanky on that Mars, especially with this Bracer build-up. Have to hope to go after Jocam with that, but even that might be tough as the bot lane. Cuckoo going to move in Your Dream. He's completely out of mana now, so Zephyr can get plenty of damage off, though he probably won't go for a dive into that tier 1, but he'll be satisfied with just dropping In Your Dream that much and at least forcing the salve usage there from Polison.
It takes away a resource from the side of NGX, but it just goes back to what we said. Paulson can use his body for it, as the panel pointed out. You don't really have much to melt through In Your Dream. He always can threaten with Mystic Snake back, and he still has that mana shield. So, pretty steady lane, although.
Yeah, dropping very, very low, surviving on 20 HP as Gabby almost got the job done, but he lost vision within that fog and didn't want to go for the chase. Meanwhile, bot lane, Zephyr now in trouble on that gyrocopter. He's going to be fine, though. We'll walk away. Very, very low HP pool. In fact, pretty much everyone is apart from Cuckoo. And he might move back in. He's salving up. Cuckoo does have Shield Crash and Swashbuckle, so if they can break the gap between themselves and In Your Dream with this creep wave, they'll be able to get it, and in they go. They do move in. In Your Dream naturally going to be the target, and he does not have a very high mana pool right now, though. Zephyr, he's dropping low as well. He might drop it. No, he's out of range in time, and Cuckoo is going to be able to secure first blood for T1 as he goes after Polison. It's the mad fight of a century as Polison does win that one out, but you're going to be very satisfied if you are T1.
Yeah, you slow down Dedusa, you get the big kill you want, you kind of get the trade you expected as well. Zephyr does go for the deny there, so you manage to get the reset out, and it feels a lot better, credited to In Your Dream, but not enough to offset that loss. So you are seeing that aggression come out from T1, as we mentioned. There is some good magic damage on that off lane, and that is the lane to watch out for T1. Top lane for NGX has been, you know, something they've been trying to get aggressive as well, but we're still not seeing the full committal onto the Riki. As you mentioned, hard to lock him in with a blink available for him to bail out, and the tricks of the trade as well. Not the easiest target to pin down as much.
Is under attack.
And Polison going for his own deny now, that Ogre. Support's dying left, right, and center here to these towers. Rotation out from Whitemon, but this might cost him. The option is there. Mizu will be able to set up for a very easy spear, I think, but he's waiting for that Ink Swell. In fact, he actually misses the spear. So Whitemon still running away, might actually make it, but now Alacrity shows up. No chains available, Whitemon. He's not going to be able to deny himself. Alacrity does get him in the end, but my god, was that close.
Yeah, a lot closer than it should have been. 2 remnants as well used out by Alacrity. Does have the regen to hold that lane, and that's a pretty good kill to have for the Ember. That mid lane matchup has been pretty passive. Carl's been pulling ahead with a Dragon form in terms of farm. So you do need a little bit more to come onto the Ember. We're not seeing that commitment onto the tower push yet, which is again one of the things you want to see with the DK. Shove it in lane, take a tier 1 fast, and apply some pressure. Up top though.
Yeah, in again, but disruption will be there from Joe Camp to save Mizu. You don't have anything like the Diffusal Blade yet here for Gabby to really slow him down. But I've got to say, considering the lane matchup he had against that Mars SD, John, Gabby's done a great job. For the 38 and 11 in CS, he is not struggling whatsoever.
Yep, just managing to work the lane well, understanding how far he can push himself with all his dodges. Mizu's not been able to control it as much, and that is a hurting point here for NGX. You're struggling a little bit more on In Your Dreams lane, whereas Cuckoo's also getting a lot more in that lane in comparison to the Mars. And you want this Mars to be able to get that build-up. Sheepo pointed out again, you know, you want to be able to go into the blink. You tend to build a lot of small items onto that wave, phase boots, bracers up until that blink. So there's a bit of a stall out for that jump potential from the side of NGX. And that is time where T1 can just run in.
Bot lane, Cuckoo, he's still chasing for In Your Dream, while Zephyr has somehow made it out, and In Your Dream is still trying to fight with the Fire Blast there from Polison, but it's not enough. Cuckoo, he'll even man up now. Onto the Ogre he goes, he wants a double, and he's not going to get it. But it won't matter, John. You got the Medusa, and on the other side of the map, Gabby even found Mizu. So great news here for T1 supporters.
Yep, they're finding the kills they need. They managed to get some space for Carl to apply some pressure onto that mid-tier 1. No real damage, but the lane is under his control, and you're still building up well on that DK. So game plan's going well for T1. NGX has been finding some punishment back, 4-4. 2K lead still stands for T1, as you pointed out. They've only really killed, off lanes in exchange for their save. And it just never feels good when you're playing the Medusa. You should still be able to outfarm a Ricky, but that early item spike's set to line up here for T1.
Ember caught by the stun, but Alacrity's fine. One on, knocking a few Shadow Poison stacks, but he's also going to be alright. T1 would trying to apply that mid-pressure, and Polison. Cuckoo trying to reach for the kill. He's going to be able to get it. Very, very close there to those neutrals, but he does make it out. And Cuckoo does secure himself another. And T1, I mean, so far this offlane Pango has been very, very good here for T1, just working out very nicely. They might even try to go after the Medusa, but he's fine. Instead, it's towards the top lane where they've got Mizu again. And it's one of those things with these side lanes, John, you've got to concentrate on one or the other. And NGX, they don't have really the draft to be able to address both lanes at once.
No, I mean, it's just down to, again, playing a slower draft here. Your Mars isn't quite ready to get the jump in. They are securing their stacks quite nicely. Gabby is spotted though.
There is a sentry there, but with the Inkswell, he is not afraid. He does land that stun onto Polison, but does blink out immediately. So now Alacrity going to move in for the attempt onto Whitemon, but Gabby is back in, and they've got the Ember, perhaps with the Fairy Fire. It's going to be eaten up. Alacrity's still going to run his way out. Gabby did not get the job done, so instead, no, never mind. Cuckoo found him on the backside. Now Arena, though, down onto Gabby, but he's happy. Tricks the trade away as they have found the Medusa. In Your Dream, still running, but can't. It's just so much damage out. Still, they did find Gabby in the end, but it really won't matter as the Medusa does eventually die in Cuckoo. He has become a real problem now on this Pango as he's going to find an Ultra kill out. He might even be able to find a Rampage, but he's by himself now. He'll have to let that one go. In fact, Alacrity does rejoin the team fight and might be able to get a bit of a trade here onto this Pango. No chains available though. No mana for the spear either. Swashbuckle away, Cuckoo. Gonna have the assistance of Carl to help him out, and well, they can't actually kill the Pango. They'll have to leave Cuckoo be. It still seems like a successful team fight for T1.
And they instantly transition onto that mid with the Dragon form from Carl. Jokam's not safe here.
No, certainly not. It's just too fast paced from T1 with this kind of draft. They're into that tier 1 mid tower now, and I just don't see how you stop it. With the Siege Creep and the Dragon form, it's going to be a very rough defense for NGX.SEA.
Radiant structures are fortified.
They're dragging the bodies forward. They don't have Arena even if Mizu showed up, so some of their team fight presence is just gone. T1 don't manage to fully commit for the tower, but it's at a very low point where one more shove should get the job done. And look at their position. Right, they take that bot tier 1, they're playing in that bot jungle very nicely. There are wards here from the side of NGX to spot their movement. So they are very well aware of where to avoid moving out now. They are just clumping up, and even in your dream showing up. He doesn't have Stone Gaze up yet, so he does have the spell point, the skill point to get that up, but he's not farming, and I think that's the downside for dragging your +1 in. Deuce is just not a very active core early on.
Lockdown Carl for a second, but with the Rolling Thunder, Paulson has been called out on Alacrity. He was silenced up, so he's going to cop the permastun, I think, and in fact, it doesn't even need it. Cuckoo setting up more as now the arena is down onto Zephyr, but Cuckoo will jump right into the arena. I'm not sure if that's the game plan here from Alpango, as he will finally drop. And NGX.SEA, they'll go for more now. Carl dropping low, but here comes Gabby with a big Inkswell out on the Ricky. They're going to find one. They might find a second. So in your dream, still find a triple kill for himself on this Medusa. So really not the worst team fight for NGX.SEA.
And not too bad. They do win out in the network trade as well, but a lot of that going onto Kami-sama himself. So Medusa is getting something for showing up early. You have to watch yourself though, they're still going.
Oh, it's such a painful experience here for the supports of NGX.SEA, as you just can't avoid that blink into the Inkswell. You just don't have the vision over the Ricky. You have no idea where he is.
Yeah, they have to commit a lot of resources to just get sentries down to prevent that movement from Gabby. And all of this movement, Mike, was without the diffusal. It's flying in now. So you've got even more damage, you've got even more slows with the inhibit on that diffusal up. And they're just going to smoke. T1 knows they've got a really aggressive lineup. They don't need to sit back and farm. They just need to keep applying this pressure.
That they do. T1 are going to be finding undervision here from NGX, but they jumped in. Mizu being caught. Nice disruption from JoeCamp to buy a bit of time, but the Rolling Thunder is just going to lock him down. There is no running. In fact, they even found JoeCamp on the low ground. He got stunned up and ends up dropping to boot.
Middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, they managed to take the tier 1 off the back of that fight. They're just still here. Look at Gabby. They didn't have detection until now. He's going to be perfectly fine. And the aggression from T1, it's looking like it's lining up in this game. NGX needs so much more farm to get in your dream in a position where this core Dusa feels great. Number 4 network, not the worst. Carl?
Man, not too far. Inkswell will help out a little bit, and Cuckoo does jump in, but a nice spear from Mizu to set up onto the Dragon Knight. They'll get one. And Cuckoo, well, he'll be left behind. This is where T1, they need to be very careful. Going too far into that tier 2 mid tower, and NGX.SEA do punish. You're getting to that point now where NGX, past that 15-minute mark, you are going to have a bit of a timing here for themselves. And well, T1, they've got to be very careful not to throw their lead away.
There is a timing. It does feel like you need a lot more to really get that going. Like, Mizu still needs his blink up. We're seeing Alacrity going for the Maelstrom build-up, still a ways off from that as well. So there's still a little bit more farm NGX will take, but every single time you give those kills away, that does accelerate that process for NGX. And of course, after those kills, they go back into the Ancients. Just a double stack coming in for In Your Dream. Every single thing counts. I think for T1, they have to understand that, especially Cuckoo, he's not that tanky with the Diffusal build. So he has a lot of damage, but he can't afford to frontline that deep. Paulson, though.
The damage. Quick TP out does allow him to get out of there. Very, very nice from our Ogre, but all the wards he did place down are going to go right down the toilet. As Whitemon takes care of it immediately. Mid lane, Cuckoo. Show himself there onto Alacrity and does have that Diffusal blade up. I tell you one, it doesn't seem like they want to slow down. They'll group up again for a 4-man. They've got to know that NGX.SEA is in that triangle. It's In Your Dream, he'll head up towards the top lane, but the rest of NGX.SEA is still sticking around in the triangle. So Gabby going to move in. Paulson, he'll break the smoke to the team. It's not quite the kill you would have wanted here for T1. And I think NGX.SEA, they'll just be happy with breaking that smoke right now.
They dodge a trigger gankle.
Nah, Mizu's fine. No way to stun him up.
Bails out in time. T1, I mean, the aggression's coming through, but they need to keep finding big targets. They want to keep down In Your Dream. They want to keep down Alacrity. These are your scaling cores. Alacrity's playing tag right now with the illusion, so he's forcing some movement. They do figure it out. But he is, confining them to mid lane, opening up a few more of that bot lane out for In Your Dream, and just ensuring the farm is still flowing for one of their cores, while T1's looking to be aggressive.
Oh, here we go. The gyrocopter shards are up now. Oh, this one always has to make me laugh. It's so ridiculous. What kind of shots is this here for Zephyr? Paulson might have to experience it right now. John, look at this. Can you run? No, you just gotta take it. You've just gotta take it. Paulson's already gone. Cuckoo? No blink up, so he won't be able to close the gap on Alacrity. I don't think T1 can really afford to try for a tier 2 yet. It's just an Ogre kill. It's not that big of a deal. In fact, they've got to be careful not to give more kills back the way of NGX.SEA. They do end up missing the initial spear, and that's going to be enough for T1 to get themselves out.
But you can see the emphasis they have. They're just constantly pressuring mid, forcing the response out from NGX, trying to ensure that In Your Dream can't work the side lanes. So every single time you see that full commitment, and that's time where the Deuce is not quite farming as much as it wants to, then In Your Dream goes back to show in the lane, and then T1 groups up again as they're doing now. They're just going again. They know they've just got to stop In Your Dream from feeling comfy at all away from his team.
Yeah, absolutely. Pings are out. In Your Dream's the much better target, but the TPs are coming, and it looks like NGX.SEA may have read this movement. The Ogre, though, Paulson probably set to Diane does. In the backside, Whitemon, he does get caught by Mizu. A 1-for-1 so far, as NGX.SEA, they'll keep rushing. With the Stone Gaze, they'll try to set up a fight, but it's not going to work out, and now the counter-initiate is here. Carl, he'll go right for the head of NGX.SEA in that Medusa. Kami-sama himself, he's been diffused up, slowed down, and with the rocket barrage coming out from the homing missile. What do you do?
You can't do much. Your save wasn't quite there. Disruption was used earlier on, so you had no way of stopping that from the side of NGX. And T1 just, again, they're just constantly playing triangle and mid. These are the only two areas they've been at, but they've just been able to find all these kills, building up once more, killing off Mizu. There's no room. It feels like there's no room for In Your Dream. I think at this point you just have to accept your team as 4 will have to play. In Your Dream will have to just farm on the exact opposite part and try to build up.
Carl's in now with a double damage rune. Paulson having a very rough game. That'll be his 9th death on the Ogre. So T1 continuing to just be able to just rush around the map, just slowing everyone down here from this Radiant side. And I suppose now with this double damage, Carl, he might be able to get some damage off into the mid tier 2, but decides better of it. Instead, Jokam top lane's going to be targeted. There's no way out. Not with that smoke screen on ya. T1, they won't stop.
No, just run and gun, constantly force the pressure. Same spots for the last, almost feel like the last 10 minutes they've been in this exact area all the time. NGX are still holding out. They still drag In Your Dream in, although...
Yeah, Carl, another nice setup with the Dragon Tail, and now with the Rolling Thunder, they'll have a perma-stun onto In Your Dream, onto the Ogre. They found Paulson again. It's just so hard to survive the initial onslaught. Like, if you can get past the first maybe 5-10 seconds of the fight, maybe you can turn, but they just can't even survive that.
No, they just don't have much to play with once those stuns are out, once the great controls out from T1. Again, stark contrast to Game 2, Mike, where you had Undying Phoenix, you only had the stun on Dragon Knight. This time you have so many angles for the Pangolier, you've got the Inkswell, you've got the Silence up, even the homing missile's been doing a lot of work. Alacrity?
He can't run, John. He's been inhibited. He can't run. He just decides to stand his ground because he knows he can't get out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, Alacrity's doing the right thing. If the Deuce is not getting farm, you have to give that to the Ember. He's rushing BKB to take a more active stance once that item's up and buy space for the Deuce. But T1's just punishing. They've got so much control on the map. Now they've got a haste up on Gabby. They've got another smoke. They're just constantly smoking and fighting. I think they've used every single smoke every time it's back in the shop.
Here we go again, Cuckoo. Inkswell up. Not going to find his target. Mizu will skewer him to the tree as well, just in case. But they know they can't force a fight right now. The NGX.SEA, they've got to play it slow. They've got to get those initial core items up. I mean, you brought this up earlier, but hell, even the Maelstrom timing just isn't there on our Ember. And he's just going straight for a BKB now. Like, what can you do? Alacrity, he needs to be able to survive and just spam out these Sleight of Fist. It just has not been an easy game.
No, it really hasn't. And props to T1 again. They're playing so much more aggressive than we're used to seeing. We see NGX going for a smoke. Could just be baiting out for a push onto the mid. They've got that blink up on Mizu. So they can try to set up with a really good arena play here. But T1's just not responding. They hold back themselves. They know something's up when no one's farming, deep pushing mid, no one's showing in the side lanes. So there's a play opportunity from NGX, and that'll just allow T1 to constantly play mid. They just haven't left mid, Mike. You know, they're just standing here. That's it.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
T2 mid tower's gone. Eventually. Because NGX.SEA, they're not around to defend this. Or are they? TPs are in, Glyph has been forced, so it's not gone yet. T1, they're not going to stick around for this, it seems. Carl, you'll hang around for the creep wave as T1, almost hoping that Nigma Galaxy.SEA do go in for that fight. And they have smoked up. They aren't going to be able to find anything. It's kind of one of those situations, I guess, for NGX where they're waiting for a mistake to happen here from T1. Perhaps an overextension, but that is just not happening. I suppose on the brighter side, they do hold on to that tier 2 mid tower.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
And
attack.
they've still got control towards their mid. They still have access towards the triangle because of that. I think the issue for NGX, every time they go for a smoke play, like, they don't have vision on the map. It's completely dark. Like, T1 has all the control. They've got the aggressive wards. They've got a million sentries to protect their Riki. So it's very oppressive for NGX. They just don't have anywhere they can safely go, even with a smoke out. They don't know where T1's playing. And if they know they're on mid, they know that's all 5 of them grouped up, and that's not the angle they want to take for these engagements.
They're still grouped up though, mid lane. Carl, trying to bait them in. Not getting what he wants yet. Mizu, he's thinking about it. You don't really want to force into the tier 2 if you can as T1. You'd rather that tier 2 go down first. So Carl, he might just keep poking and prodding at it until it does just fall over. But no, never mind. They saw in your dream. Disruption will buy a bit of time. In the meantime, Mizu has been ganked up, and they've got the control onto the Medusa. In your dream, he just can't survive the onslaught. Cuckoo's providing way too much stun. And Mizu does eventually just go down to Gabby. They can just hunt for more. Sleeping Dart is out. They've got the Shadow Demon, but they aren't going to go high ground. They're not risking anything. The surgical gameplay here from T1.
Radiant's middle tower is under
Tier 2 mid
attack.
tower should finally fall. We'll try for the wing swell, but it doesn't really work out for them.
Mizu.
Oh, Mizu's in trouble now. He made the jump in, but it might just cost him as Cuckoo's there. They've got a bit of control, Gabby. He'll jump back in as well. Ogre's gone and Mizu's gone to boot. In fact, it might even be a third, as Alacrity never gets the remnant away. Oh, it gets worse and worse, John. It gets worse and worse.
And
Radiant's
Mizu
middle
bought
tower
back,
has
blinked in,
fallen.
immediate smoke screen out from Gabby. Great response from him to cut off that arena. We haven't seen that arena in his other 2 lives. And T1 just gets to go again. Like, they just keep running and
Here we
running.
go. They've got the Medusa in your dream
God.
by the tier 4 towers.
Radiant's middle
Disruption
tower
will
is
help a
under
little
attack.
bit. But for how long? Because Cuckoo,
Oh my God.
he'll go right behind with the Rolling Thunder, with the roll up. He'll just chuck a U-turn. No problem. At least they found Whitemon. But they're going to lose Paulison. I mean, Paulison's had a rough time this game, John. He's going to do something. Whatever he can.
Yeah, you got to do what you can, but let me tell you, Mike, I don't know how many times I've had these kinds of games myself, where the enemy team gets a snowball start of like a 1-2k lead, but they've got this lineup that goes online early, and they just camp your mid. They just force you to run in as 5, even if you need farm on your pawn as 1. You can't take these fights as 4. So you drag in your 1 to try to make something happen. It doesn't work out, and then suddenly the map is just... It's so oppressive. Like, there's still no wards out from NGX. There's still no vision game
Radiant's
for NGX to
bottom
play
tower
off
is
of.
under attack.
Even with some openings to play their bot jungle, it's just never safe. And it puts NGX in a very difficult spot. Maybe back to that draft again where Sheeple pointed out, Mars feels a little bit more slow as an offlane. It's not immediately active. We had to wait for that blink after the Bracer, after the Soul Ring. By the time the blink came up because of the slow restart, it's just too late. Even the BKB on Alacrity is not doing much. And T1 again, just in the triangle. They just never back off.
No, they certainly don't, John. They certainly do not. Who's up top? Oh, it's poor old Mizu. Gabby's going to have a look around, and he might just find him. Mizu needs to address the creep wave. He will do so, but can he make it out in time? No, he can't, John. He's been put to sleep with the tranquilizer of Gabby. He'll try for the TP play out, but they've got the stuns. No problem here for T1. Make matters worse, John. Carl's got the halberd off now. So if you're in your dream, you haven't got a BKB, you've got nothing to purge that off. It's going to be some tough times.
Yeah, it's not going to feel great. And for NGX, they're doing the right thing. They're playing the bot jungle. They're finally getting some vision out to get some control and some safe space for In Your Dream to farm. It's just, it's so far behind right now for Medusa. You're 4K behind a DK. That should not happen in any Medusa game, but that's just the state of it for NGX. Meanwhile, T1 into Roshan. Rosh number 1. Not going to take them too long. And once you have that second life up for Gabby or even Kuku or Carl, you can certainly just constantly keep that pressure. Maybe start thinking about the high ground here.
Drums popped immediately here from T1. They are rushing right back into that Radiant jungle, and Alacrity may get spotted. But he does back off in time, seeing Carl on that DK. Instead, Paulison in a position to also get spotted on that high ground. He's not too careful, but they've got the vision now of T1. Know exactly where they are. They aren't going to go anywhere near them. They know they need a lot more time for this Medusa to become a real problem. And I say that, but against double defusal, you know, you might just never have mana in these fights.
Selfish.
This Gabby has not been spotted. There's no sentries. Poor old Mizu. Maybe just about to be put to sleep again, though he does blink away. But he's going to farm that jungle. And Gabby will continue stalking the Mars, though Mizu
Radiant's top tower
towards
is
the
under
north
attack.
is going to be fine. In the
Radiant
meantime, Carl, he does
structures
go for that
are
T1 tower. Mizu, oh no. Tranquilizer is there. That'll be the Mars gone.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Yeah, I mean, at least you're not losing your Ember and you're not losing your Dusa. These are your bigger scaling cores at this point. You're kind of happy with Mars just having the blink. A BKB would help, but you want your other cores to grow. So it's an okay sacrifice for NGX. He's trying to go for the greedy farm, and they're just buying the space they need. It's just not a lot of spacing. They still catch Alacrity.
Invisibility.
Oh, that they do, but he does get away. With the BKB up, at least he can remnant back towards the base. But that's kind of where you are, right, as NGX.SEA. You're split pushing the side lanes, and you're rushing back to base every time. At T1, they don't want to allow this to happen, so naturally they are going to smoke up and try to force a fight into high ground. They've still got plenty of time on that dragon form here for Carl. So if you're NGX.SEA, you're not moving off this high ground, surely.
No, they are going for a smoke play though, so maybe looking to pop out a little bit here.
As I say it, but this is probably not going to work out for them. Zephyr does break the smoke and is already set up there with Gabby. They'll drop the sentry, but what does it matter? Rolling Thunder, it's right on the Medusa. She's already out of mana. The disruption is going to buy some time. Jokam trying to save the day. They'll lose Mizu in the process as Carl finishes him off himself, and they are just dropping like flies.
Now you see what you are.
And now you almost certainly think about high ground, even without that dragon form.
It's not going to take too long, even without the dragon form. You've got some decent siege damage to do with how much farm you have. Well, maybe not. It is taking a little bit longer to work towards a tier 2, but with the space they have, it's not going to be too tough at all. Alacrity just getting what he can, cutting off that mid creep wave, getting some farm. The defense is going to be tough. They still have Arena, they have Stone Gaze. We haven't seen that come out from In Your Dream. They're about to be able to play with that. Alacrity playing tag. Should be fine.
Look at Zephyr. Zephyr's happy to fight him. Zephyr's more than happy to fight the mid lane of NGX.SEA. Well, they're onto the tier 3 tower now, top lane. More importantly, Glyph is forced out. That'll be enough. No need to throw their lead away. Again, 23k ahead right now. Alacrity still trying to get Zephyr. Does eventually get the kill. And does manage to also TP out in time. Nice little pay there from Alacrity.
Finds something for his trouble, stalls out the high ground push a little bit, forcing a response, and ensures that at least one creep wave isn't shoved against him. So NGX are doing a good job of stalling this game out. It's still looking pretty dire. 16 to 42, 23k lead up for T1. Your Deuce is just not catching up at all, Mike. Still 1k behind Ricky, still 6k behind a DK. Again, this is not good news if you're a Deuce. You never want to be this far behind. There's just no space for In Your Dream to farm. They haven't had good control of the map at all after T1 just constantly focused on mid. And as you pointed out, Mike, it feels like high ground's their best bet. They will still try to move out. I think if you are NGX, if you manage to catch someone outside, you know, maybe being a bit too greedy from T1's end, that could be the start of a slight snowball swing back. You're going to need to find several of those kinds of kills to really equalize.
Oh, Gabby wants to catch me outside. How about that? Paulison He's going to be okay as the B... Oh, never mind. Gabby's right back in. Joe Camp. Going to be able to delay things. The BKB timing. It's going to wear off. And so will the Aegis in 23 seconds. So T1 not able to find the opening they wanted with that Aegis timing. Thing is, though, John, you've got Carl with an Aghanim Scepter up now. So you've got that ancient Black Dragon going on here for T1. That thing hits hard and pushes very fast. Do you wait out the Aegis timing again? Like, do you want the next Roshan first?
I think that's definitely the safe bet for T1. I think they understand that even if this game goes longer, there's just not enough room for Adusa to really get an item advantage or catch up. So I think T1's more than willing to just wait and, you know, just wait for that security onto the high ground. There's no real rush. I think the only way Adusa manages to build up is if it finds a direct kill on, say, the DK, and that's just pretty hard to see right now.
Bomb is... He's doing his job. Yeah, it doesn't look pretty, but he's doing his job right now. Just delaying the game by continuing to push out this top lane. It's just unfortunate. He probably will die every time, but they've got no choice. NGX, they have to do this.
It's always one that has to be sacrificed. Whoa.
Yeah, right in from Carl, who wants to force the buyback, and never mind, Joe Camp. He's already gone. Buyback is available, but even if you commit them, can you defend this? I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, it gives you a better chance, but I think they understand on NGX for it. We're still going to lose a Rax anyway. Might as well wait this out, wait for the respawn on Mizu, and try to get something off of that. Alacrity's at least been cutting off the top lane, so there's one less creep wave to play with. Gabby's on the hunt, though.
That he is. And your dream is towards the far east here, but he's going to be fine. Nobody else being found out by T1, but they're more than happy with that one Rax advantage they've got right now. And again, you are kind of waiting for the next Roshan anyway, if you want to really play this safely. NGX, however, they definitely do not. Back towards that top lane they go. They may just be using this smoke to just try and push out this wave, and that's exactly what they're doing. Push out the wave, reposition, find somewhere to farm. Problem is, Gabby is here again, ready to break the smoke whenever. And it's right back towards the south. Back to base. Go back home, NGX.SEA. Today is not the day.
Just slow poking and prodding, getting what they can for the economy. T1 only about 40 seconds away from that next Rosh timer showing up. They don't have too much more to wait for. They've been building up really nice still. They've been escalating on all their cores. They've got the Shivas up here on Cuckoo. Lots more AoE control. Along with Loadstorp, he has a ton of armor. Not going to melt the Sleight of Fist or the Deucer right click. Carl, as mentioned, Ags plus the Heaven's Halberd, working on to his AC next. Also not too far off. So as the slow game goes on, they're still working the map really well. You do have In Your Dream eclipsing Gabby in terms of farm. It doesn't feel like the Ricky's really your big issue here. It feels like it's starting to be the DK. It's starting to be that Pangolier that does so much up front. They're so tanky. You don't have burst from NGX. And again, Sheepo in the panel was pointing that out, Mike. This lineup just doesn't have immediate burst, and you have a massive DK and Pangolier problem that has so much armor that your Dusa and your Ember can't take care of them fast enough.
Jeez, Alacrity. He's playing on the edge there with that Ember. Still just pushing out the side lanes. Still, that net worth lead, 27k now. It's becoming a real problem. In Your Dream, he's been trying his absolute best, and he does have that Skadi up, but that doesn't really seem like that's going to be the big game changer here. Definitely needs more damage, and more importantly, needs a bit of survivability with the BKB up. In the meantime, Cabby actually leaving the gem behind the Roshan pit. Just leave it there. I'll come back for it later. I've got heroes to take right now. There's Polison. He's gonna be okay for now. Probably not for long though. See, his literal job is to just follow the Ember and make sure he does not get ganked. Though he may fail his job, because Alacrity... No, he's going to juke out the Sleeping Dart. He's fine. Immediate TP's away.
Yep, just, again, get what you can, back off. It's still looking good for T1. AC's up now on Carl. So you have a, what's this, 45 armor DK. You have a 49 armor Pangolier. I mean, you don't have magic damage for that. You just don't have a way of eating through the Pango and DK. And sure, Ricky's damage is feeling like it's dropping off a bit. You're not exactly durable on NGX's side anyway. You don't have that kind of farm with a couple of plate mail heroes up. So you still can just eat through with Ricky. And Roche is up. They will see it with the gem drop, so it pays off for Gabby. And they'll have a nice good time in Roche. NGX have to be able to read that. They've got to be able to get a good jump in. This is their opportunity. If they get the smoke arena initiation here, could work out, but Roche is not going to last long here.
It certainly isn't, Jonathan. Roshan with the shards up, and Aegis is going to go down for free as NGX.SEA. They might know this is happening, but they can't do anything about it, and they understand this. Their only hope is holding high ground and hoping T1 makes a mistake right now. Even if that does mean giving the secondary life away. And instead, again, they'll reposition, they'll push out the bot lane, but immediate TPs now. T1, they are not going to allow this to happen for free. That Cuckoo has already found Polison on the Ogre. Right to the outpost he goes. Blink in with the Rolling Thunder. Bit of a U-turn here onto Polison, though. A nice TP away, but it's not going to be what he needed. Who does find a way to get the stun off. That'll be a godlike spree now for Gabby.
Yeah, basically a near perfect game for Gabby. 15-1, 18 right now on the kill board. Managing to really get that aggression going for the team and, you know, giving that scaling opportunity towards Cuckoo Carl. With that Aegis up, they should have the opportunity to try high ground with the Black Dragon. It's not going to take too long, although Misu's playing here.
He is, but he didn't sleep him down enough, John. Fall down hour. Look at that rocket barrage. Just so much damage flying out. Misu, I mean, they just put him to sleep and slowly but surely just destroyed him. They're onto that second lane of barracks now here, T1.
Radiant's middle tower is
NGX.SEA.
under attack.
They'll try to slow this down. Joe Camp gonna blink out, but oh, they found a new dream. That's a target they really want. The Medusa, he'll be 4-star Swain back down the turnaround. Gabby falling low. Carl about half HP as Whitemon. He'll die. Onto the Ember they go. Gabby with the smoke screen silencing him, and now the Rolling Thunder does hold him down. Alacrity, he is gonna drop without buyback available. And they never managed to finish off Carl. Not yet. It's Gabby. Also about to die, does make it out with his life intact. It does seem like they are too low to keep pursuing the mid-racks, though. They'll leave it be.
That's a pretty good situation for NGX. I mean, they lose their Ember. It looks pretty bad. He just bought out the Ags, but they don't really take an objective off of that for T1. So they can just reset. Same thing goes for NGX. They can look for the next fight, look to reposition, look to find a better angle, really try to work out a good arena out for Mizu. We haven't seen any big arenas. I think that's the big issue here for NGX. Like, that's their only team fight. It's tough to really get max value with a DK just, with a Pangolier just rolling around and a Ricky who can just blink out. So it's pretty tough to get good value from that, but it feels like that's their best bet on top of Alacrity, just zipping around with the Ags. So we'll see if NGX will find that angle with the little time they've managed to buy out. T1 have managed to reset though. They should be looking to just go on the offensive once more. Catch someone out that's trying to hold high ground and just pressure the lanes. Keep it as oppressive as it was a while ago, Mike.
We go again. Black Dragon's up. X-Wall's there. Carl not going to be with the immediate blink out onto In Your Dream. They do get the T3. That's a start here as they can start moving on to the racks. Again, it's NGX.SEA that need to try and respond to this. The T1 being very cautious with the way they initiate these fights. Even with the Aegis on Gabby, they don't want to overextend here. Joe Cambo, he's in with the disruption, but Gabby's right in. On the Deucer, forcing out the 4-staff. Into the Sleeping Dart, now they lock her down, so Cuckoo, he can roll right through with the stuns as we... Oh, boy. Is that a pause? Like, he disconnected at the absolute worst moment. That is such an unfortunate time to DC.
Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, you know, NGX isn't all quite at boot camp, so could be some of that indie home acting up, perhaps, for In Your Dream. Hopefully not, but this is unfortunate. Cuckoo's set to get the chain stone off there, Mike. He's got a roll up. You know, Gabby's looking to get a target off as well with the Inkswell. It's looking a bit dire here for NGX.
But you know what's not looking dire, John? Is our observer right now. Look at this. Look at the sky view, Jonathan.
Beautiful.
What an arena. What an arena. Look at the view we've got right now into this team fight. So I hope in your dreams not going to be too upset when he reconnects here to this game number 1. What are we looking at, Pythian? The range creeps. My goodness.
Yeah. Nice masks they have on there. Like the sense of style they've got. Look at that roll up.
Live footage of the Pango right now, just stopping in your dream. He was just disconnected. A very painful moment for the Medusa.
Oh, Mike. You could take this opportunity to give us a Steve Irwin, commentary on the situation.
No, I'm not gonna give you a Steve Irwin commentary. How dare you? You just think every Australian can put the accent on and just start going. Here we go though. In your dream, he's back, but he won't be back for long, John. He's gone already without buyback. Might be time for DC again, I think. Take a break for a minute. Alacrity, he's been caught. Dragon Tail will be there. They've got so much damage. No buyback available. It might be around that time to call it. If you are NGX.SEA, as T1 seem to have pulled off this game number 3 victory. They continue diving in. Gabby drops low, but again, he does have that secondary life with the Aegis. There's nothing to be afraid about here for T1. The Bloodlust, the Ancient. I mean, what else are you going to do?
Not much. You don't have many options left. At least the Ancient's big. It's gigantic, Mike. It's going over the hero models.
GG's cold. T1, they managed a 2-1 victory here over NGX.SEA. So you've got to give props to the NGX.SEA, John. They put up a great fight, especially considering the unfortunate circumstances in Game 1 for themselves. But T1, see the better team today, do manage the 2-1 victory, and where you can see the happy faces there from Gabby. Very, very satisfied with their win. Although I say happy faces, John, they look like they're about to fall asleep here, T1.
Yeah, it was quite dominant in that game number 3. I mean, as you mentioned, props to NGX. They play really well. I think just the fact that we've seen our Div 2 promoted teams do so well against a figure of C in T1 is good news. I mean, that was quite the fight from NGX. Game 3, maybe not as much. I think they went for a slower draft, whereas T1 went for such aggression. We saw that camping mid. They held mid for 20 minutes, just constantly forcing responses out, and there wasn't much of a response out from NGX. And T1 managed to get that aggression, that shift in playstyle well this time around. Works out in their favor. NGX, I feel like this is a team that can still deliver. They did bring up a really good match in Game 2. We'll see if they bring that back in a different game, but as you said, T1's better this time around for Game 3.
Yeah, certainly so. And with that, John, we are going to head to a short break, and right after that break, we're back with our fabulous and always correct panel to discuss what happened in this series. We'll see you then.
T1 were able to bounce back from... I just see this in the corner of my eyes. I get so distracted so easily. T1 were able to bounce back, though, from game number 2 and take the series in a good old 2-1 fashion, something that I think a lot of us believed in once we saw that Game 3 draft. Don't think Nigma Galaxy had any believers on the panel, unfortunately, and that's normally their recipe for success. But, as good as T1... oh, wow. Okay, it's not early. I'm not blaming.
Nah, relax.
But... as good as T1 looked, I do want to bring up the big elephant in the room, that Medusa on the side of Nigma Galaxy. It was very much all eggs in one basket, and it just didn't really step up to perform today.
I could not believe it. You just played a completely different strat to that in Game 2.
Against the Medusa too.
Yeah, so not only has Medusa been proven pretty beatable in this series, but you ran a completely different strat, and then you just switch it all up and go, you know what, let's just pick the Medusa. This could not go badly at all. There's no way. This is fantastic. And yeah, no, I hated it a lot, actually.
Yeah, it was a little bit disappointing, but T1, I said it, they looked fantastic. They were able to find all those pickoffs. They weren't really giving Nigma much of the map, much space to kind of do any of their own sort of stuff. But for you guys, what really stood out?
I think in some ways this game kind of, I think you could see the writing on the wall pretty early on, like 15-20 minutes once they lost all that space in the map. I would say as far as things that stood out, hey, we see Ricky. This is the first time this hero makes its appearance here in at least Division 1, I think Division 2 as well. One of the heroes that I think saw a pretty significant rise in pick and win rate, at least in pro level pubs after the new patch. And just a great hero to play into Medusa, like really good tempo and pace that you can play with, and also obviously the defusal build. Medusa, you mentioned how Monkey King is good. Medusa just kind of sits there. Well, Ricky, your Medusa's sitting there, he'll just trick to the trade on top of you. burn all your mana and make life tricky. So I think Riki for me was a hero that stood out not necessarily for being like the reason they won this game single-handedly, but just, you know, it stood out because it was something different, something new.
It did have incredible impact. It's also
Yeah.
nice because you get the sleep dot shard, so that's another way to take Medusa out of the fight when she's your, you know, full protect 1 strat. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Gabby was amazing this game. Gabby was absolutely phenomenal on the Riki. I think as well, I want to give a massive shout out to Cuckoo. I remember the first glimpse of his lane that we saw, he was being zoned out at level 1, and it looked kind of weird and sad for him, but then, you know, fast forward 5 minutes, he's destroying his lane, like his lane, they're like hunting Medusa through her jungle, killing her, forcing her out, making her life really, really hard. He had amazing impact. I was like pretty impressed overall. I think like him being so active was definitely what allowed them to close that map off super quickly.
Is that the main thing that T1 did to be able to stay on top this whole game? Just you close out the map and make no room for their opponents, or were there more little things that they were doing so well?
I think that was like the little things as well, where they were always hunting these heroes that were trying to split push and cut waves. Like you saw a few times, NGX would just try to smoke out the map, and it felt like they were just doing it to try get some farm in the enemy jungle, try sneak past some wards. And anytime somebody showed on the map, T1 were like, okay, we gotta go punish this. We can't let them claw their way back in by turtling it up, out farming us, you know, defending their high ground. It felt like they were always proactively trying to control every little bit of farm on the map.
Yeah. If you guys had to, for this series alone, say there was a standout player, who would you put it down to? Who would you give it to? It is a very hard question, yeah.
I felt like players kind of got better and worse over the different games, so it's really hard to say one. But I mean, this game for sure, I'd probably say like between Cuckoo and Gabby.
Yeah.
Well,
the answer I was looking for was Gabby, because we do have him for a winners interview. So he's going to be joining us right here on the panel. Hopefully, yes. He's ignoring us, but Gabby, hello. It is kind of old.
Oh, hello, sorry.
How's the atmosphere being with the boys, but also getting the win for this series?
I think it's really like a good comeback for us, like in the team, like our atmosphere. If we lose this game, it's gonna be really hard next year's.
Yeah, how was the bounce back from losing your opening series?
I don't know. We just like scrim and practice hard. We like three sets of scrim per day. Yeah.
And for you guys, what do you think was like a really big strength to be able to take this series?
Maybe playing like aggressive, especially game 3. Yeah.
Yeah, typically, I mean, you mentioned you play. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Keep talking.
Yeah, because like our play style is not really like that, and we just changed it in the game 3. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you meant. I was about to say that's what I was gonna ask. Is like, you know, typically you're not playing as aggressive. I think T1 as a team sometimes goes greedier, like with your heroes, Cuckoo's heroes. Is it hard to adjust? Obviously, you guys looked amazing this game, but is this something you're trying to do more? Play these more aggressive drafts and play styles?
Yeah, I think in the first day it's really hard to adjust, because they're like before I joined the team, their playstyle is like just farm or wait for the timing, and I think like it's different to like adjust at the first one, but it's fine. Just need more practice, I think. Just need more days. Yeah.
And do you think this patch is about fighting a lot? Because like I think something you guys lost to Polaris, and they were playing a pretty greedy farm style. But a lot of the players we talk to say, okay, you have to fight a lot. What do you think is going to be like the best way to play on this patch?
I think it still like depends on the drop, but farting more in the early is more fun, like rather than farming. Yeah. Just like boom play style, they really good at early and mid game. That's why maybe they're winning.
Well, I kind of hate to bring up a loss, but in your last series, you guys played that game where you like first picked Sand King, and it felt like a draft that wasn't too common to your team, and you did end up kind of like getting stomped. I was actually really curious, like, were you trying something new with that draft, and like, what do you guys think went so wrong that the game was like so hard for you guys?
I think that one, because we like our scrim, like first week of scrim, we keep practicing with Sand King, and we never lose with it. That's why we're so comfortable to pick it. Yeah.
Well, Gabby,
But we didn't expect that.
thank
I
you.
don't know what happened. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for blessing us with all the information, and congratulations again on the series win. You guys looked great.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
See ya. It's great to hear from Gabby, have a little bit insight,
I didn't wanna be
also about their
negative.
loss. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. But don't go anywhere, as there is going to be so much more action. We do have a whole nother series coming up, and that is going to be Polaris up against Boom right after this break.